how did and why do you think El Chapo got busted? And how did he end up in prison in the U.S.? Because you think that he would be somebody who would remain fucking untouched like El Mayo.
El Chapo was never the boss of the Sinaloa cartel. He was
never
No, he was never the boss of the Sinaloa cartel. Not at all. You know, most of the people don't know or don't grasp the idea that the Sinaloa cartel was not born in Sinaloa. It was born in L.A. That's where the Sinaloa cartel actually grew and was born.
In Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, that's the basically the cradle of the Sinaloa cartel. El Mayo Zambada was one of the founders, along with a Cuban man that I forget his name right now. That was like the father-in-law or something like that for El Mayo, and they both were immigrants living in L.A. And they started because the first thing you need to be a successful trafficker is a buyer, right? You can have all the products you want, but if you don't have a buyer, you have nowhere to go, no money to make. So these two guys made a whole network of buyers in LA, and they started moving the money. They knew the place, they knew Sinaloa, they had family there, so they started like making the strings. The first time the Sinaloa cartel became a cartel, it was established in LA from buyers in LA.
And what were they selling? Cocaine, weed? Weed. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It was weed at the very beginning, but also like the first established connection to bring huge loads for the Sinaloa cartel of cocaine were as well buyers in LA.
Wait, was that in the 80s?
That was in the 80s, yeah.
Okay, so that was like Roger Reeves
exactly.
era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So that's the first thing, right? And the thing, El Chapo grew up in Badiraguato, a very small town in Sinaloa. Someone gave him a job, right? Someone hired him first to wash the cars, like to actually clean the cars and the shit, and it got like more involvement. But what he had was a huge fucking ego and a huge fucking necessity to be recognized, other than a little Indio from the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be someone else, and I guess that served its purpose for the cartel. It's like, oh, so you want to be important, right? You want to be someone. So why aren't you the face of the cartel? Go out there, have the money, have everything you want. You're the fucking face. While we run the cartel from behind, talking about El Mayo and talking about white collar people, right? Like lawyers, politicians, business owners, and all that stuff. They were like, as soon as he's willing to put his fucking face out there, like, we're good, man. Have at it. And he did. He wanted to make a fucking film. He wanted to make documentaries.
So what was he doing? What was his role at the peak of his involvement?
I guess he was like a manager for the whole thing.
Okay.
It's like if you had, I don't know, a store in this place, and I'm the real owner. I'm the one with the money, with the hooks, with everything. But I'm like, okay, I'm getting the money, the big bucks. Do you want to take care of this and be the face to our clients?
He's like the Ronald McDonald.
Yes, exactly. El Chapo is like the Ronald McDonald for the Sinaloa cartel. And once his purpose stopped serving the real owners, they deliver himself. They deliver him. They were like, fuck it. It's not.
We'll give you Chapo.
Exactly, because he was too flashy by then, right? Every fucking body knew his face, his whereabouts. Everybody knew his whole family. I have most of his family on my Instagram account, and they still have a lot of fucking money, man.
What do you mean on your Instagram account?
They have Instagram accounts, and
they're following you?
They're following me, and I'm following them. Yeah. And most of them are living in the U.S. Many don't even speak Spanish, man.
Really?
Yeah. He has a 2 or 3 year old granddaughter living in L.A. And her gift for this birthday was I think it was a Raptor Ford, or
the Ford Raptor.
Dude, but like the 2022 Ford Raptor or something like that.
So he was just a manager, and he had that kind of money. He has that kind of money.
Exactly. And when
how does he have that money still? How is he doing it from prison?
I mean, you don't need to be there for every deal, right? You just need to have the contacts and the sources and keep everybody at play and playing their role, Go kill that guy. Go do this. Go do that.
And he's doing that?
And he used to do that. Right now, he's not able to even talk to anyone. He only has 3 calls a month to vetted people, right? So it's basically his granddaughter, one of his daughters also, and his mom. And he can only speak 15. He has only 15 minutes a month to speak to whichever those 3 person he can talk to, and his lawyers, his attorneys. I had an exclusive interview with his main attorney posted on my Instagram as well last week, where she tells a lot of details about how El Chapo is really. You know, she says he's funny, he has good sense of humor, he's very respectful, and that he knows that if the U.S. wants to stop the cartels, you'll have to go against politicians. And so that's an interesting thing.
Against what politicians? Against the U.S. politicians?
And Mexico, both. U.S. and Mexican politicians. They're like, that's how you stop the cartel. And I'm like, wow, that's a fucking interesting...
Have you ever met El Chapo?
Never met, but I saw him on his last arrest before being extradited. He was arrested in Mexico City, and he was presented to the press from the Mexico hangar, you know, from the military base where he was being held before being transported to Ciudad Juarez, actually. I tried to go into the prison in Ciudad Juarez to try and see if I could speak to someone. But no, he was like completely on the shoe, you know, like he was not able to. He was not able, I mean, the guys who delivered food for him were, they couldn't even look him in the eye. They had to be looking somewhere else and then give him the food.
It's so crazy how, at least from my perspective, it seems like the media's portrayed him as like the kingpin boss, like the number one jefe of the Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah, it's also a purpose, man. It's when you work in the news, and I'm telling you because I work in the fucking news, it's super difficult to tell a story right, because you will need to write so many words and enter in so many details that your articles will have to be extra fucking long and complicated articles explaining how everything works, right? So the easiest way is, let's just say El Chapo, right? I mean, he's sort of like the manager and the head, and everybody says he's the head. So just put El Chapo because people knows his name. People knows who we're talking about.
It serves a purpose, especially for especially like getting clicks and views and clickbait type shit. Yeah,
totally.
If you're talking about El Chapo, people are going to click on it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I've written stories, obviously, trying to set things straight and say, like, okay, he was just a fucking manager. Because how comes if he was responsible for all this shit, he's in jail? He's not even to speak to anyone right now. How comes his family keeps getting a lot of fucking money? How comes his organization, the Sinaloa cartel, has never shipped so many cocaine than when he was in jail, right?
They're shipping more since he's been in prison?
Exactly, more. Yeah. So it's like, dude, I mean, it's obviously not working, right? That kingpin strategy is not fucking working. It's just a waste of the taxpayers' money. How much money are they spending on keeping El Chapo locked, on paying agents to go into Mexico to try to capture a kingpin, to put him behind jail, behind bars, to transport him, extradite him, and all that shit. And at the end, it doesn't really make nothing on the real business, right? On the coke trade or the drug trade.